a game that is my favorite PlayStation exclusive of all time. And actually, my two favorite PlayStation exclusives ever are from the same developer. One is Uncharted, the other The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I absolutely love The Last of Us. But what I want to talk to you about with this, got a little bit of some unfortunate news, at least for the time being, with The Last of Us Part 3. A lot of people want this game, myself included, at least to round out a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Druckmann, the creative director over at Naughty Dog, said that there's a pretty good chance that they will not make a Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah,
and
I
this
heard
just,
about that. That's a shame.
Yeah. And I don't love it at all. I think any developer that's going to, obviously they want to keep the creative juices flowing, and I totally understand you want to work on other titles. If you stay too long, you overstay your welcome. I get it. But man, dude, from the first game to the second game, I mean, it was just outdoing itself. And maybe they thought,
yeah.
I wonder if they thought, hey, we can't top 2. But to me, it's like, well, now you're going to go with Intergalactic. And I'm not saying that I'm against that. I love that they're trying something different. But
yeah, a new IP always brings in something new to the table.
Yeah, it does. But man, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us is so good. It was one of the only reasons why I got my PS3.
Bro, and I'm like, I mean, what, you're going to leave the story like that?
Yeah, like there's
like, I mean, what about Abby and versus Ellie? Like,
yeah.
I mean, where we, like, come on. Like,
and I was so sad at myself because I stopped playing Last of Us 2 for a minute, and I don't know why. I never brought myself to ask the question why. And because I think the reason why it felt a little long, but then as soon as I jumped back in to play it, I was done within an hour.
Yeah. It is so good, dude.
It is so good. Oh my God.
I had a buddy of mine, didn't play the game, but what he did was, there's some YouTube channels where they'll take all the cinematics from a game and they'll just put it into like almost a movie.
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, Josh, you know what? I didn't play The Last of Us. He doesn't really play games. But he's like, I watched it. It's one of the greatest stories I ever saw.
Oh, yeah. One of the most well-written stories with such memorable characters and events. Even in the first game was just... I cannot forget a single scene from that game. That cutscene that wasn't... like it felt like it was literally a book brought to life. I know it was, but...
yeah.
It just felt like it was just... or better yet, can think of it as a movie.
Yeah.
It's like a movie, but in game. It's the same feeling I had with God of War when that came out. It just felt like I was watching a movie.
Yeah. It was so good, man. I just, if they, and like, I'm not going to judge a studio based on like, oh, we don't want to do The Last of Us. We want to do Intergalactic because it's going to keep our creative juices flowing. But if they just did it because, almost out of spite for the community, because it's such a ravenous fan base, and we both know just how controversial things were about The Last of Us Part 2 especially.
Yeah.
To me, though, man, it's like kind of, if that was what it was, you didn't want to deal with the adversity at hand, because I'm sure the idea with 3, because I'm sure that there was concepts of The Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah.
And maybe some of it was very...
mixed.
There was adversity that they knew was coming, but if they didn't run towards that adversity and they ran away from it, man, dude, talk about a soft generation.
Yeah, I don't know. If the thing is with situations like that is you could throw caution to the wind and just make something beautiful, or you could hold back out of fear of, because of way people think it's not going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing with a lot of games nowadays, that they try to, I wouldn't say push a narrative, but just kind of like impose how they think, and it makes a game feel, I wouldn't say gatekeepy, but more of just, it feels like you're fighting against the people you play, the people who play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like when we watched the Intergalactic trailer,
Yeah.
there were a lot. I'm excited about it too.
Yeah,
but there was backlash about that.
I was like, why?
There just people talking about the main character, the way she looks. I agree, and so they're already facing adversity as it is with Intergalactic, more than likely.
Yeah.
And so it's like, dude, The Last of Us, man. I'm not saying that you've got to make 20 of those games. I'm saying, dude, just make one. Like, just round this thing out.
At least round it out. You don't need to make a 5-part series. At least make it a trilogy.
Yeah, you don't have to do what you did with Uncharted.
Yeah.
You can round it out, dude. And because I like The Last of Us more than Uncharted. Uncharted was my favorite PlayStation exclusive until The Last of Us, and I was so hooked on it. And then when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, I just was so blown away by what they did. Maybe Neil Druckmann is just clickbaiting everybody, and after it's all said and done, after Intergalactic comes out, then here comes The Last of Us Part 3, because we know that they're working on the show.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, season 2?
Season 2, yeah.
Yeah, season 2. And so that should be coming out here shortly, but that would be funny if he did that just to kind of troll the community.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. If it's true that they're not going to do
a Last of Us 3, that'd be just disappointing.
Yeah,
It'd
man.
just be disappointing.
Yeah, just
I did think The Last of Us 2 between one, it was very different to see two opposing characters that you play against, because at the end of the day, you don't want to see each of them lose, because you're both invested in both of them, because you are playing both of them.
Yeah.
When you play as Ellie, I guarantee, I understand why people like probably side towards Ellie a lot more of what Abby did, which was very gruesome and very heartbreaking to see that scene. But at the end of the day, you get to see her reasoning why, which is also a great thing that I don't think a lot of games do, is that they don't explain why the villain did this. And I think that was a very interesting way to show it, especially with Abby.
I thought it was, yeah. I just thought, man.
Like, you never thought about that until, like, you saw the flashback.
Yeah. And I just felt, man, like, the first game was just so much about, like, survival. And, but, like, the different emotions that you see within these games. I mean, we talked about the second one being, like, pain and suffering.
Revenge.
What do you do with pain, suffering, revenge?
Yeah.
And that first game was, the journey.
The bond that Ellie and Joel share. Like
friendship. But it was...
I wouldn't even call friendship. I would call like more of like a father-daughter situation.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like...
Because Joel lost his kid day one of the virus, and that's sad. That's such a sad scene.
I guess I was thinking about the Left Behind, the DLC.
Yeah, it's a good DLC.
But yeah, no, I think the journey was like the payoff of like just like seeing this journey and where it kind of unfolded, and then in the second one, just the reaction to pain, suffering, revenge. They're just so great from a narrative perspective.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes from the second game, and it mirrored another scene from another zombie type game. It was when Ellie had a dream about Joel, and it was actually, it wasn't more of like a memory, but it was more of like Joel was actually there. And it was such a good scene because you get to see like how much she really cared about him and saw him as such a father figure. And the only other scene that I can think of that brought that same type of emotion was in the Telltale Games Walking Dead final game where you play as Clementine. There is a scene where she's on the brink of death. She passes out. She wakes up on the train from the first game, and she's talking to Lee. And I was just like, there's no way they just decide to stab you in the heart like that, man. That was such a good scene to cap off an amazing series.